In this video, I'm looking at stop chasing leads, how to attract ideal customers, and the outcome is going to fundamentally change how you view marketing forever. If you are an entrepreneur or an SME owner who is absolutely exhausted from chasing people down, sending cold messages, or praying for referrals, you are about to discover how to turn the tables completely. By the time we finish today, you will see the exact invisible triggers that make your ideal customers wake up in the middle of the night, realize their business is hurting, and decide they must find someone exactly like you to fix it. We aren't talking about chasing, we are talking about creating an irresistible pull so they reach out to you first. Stop doing cold outreach. Stop spending thousands on vague brand awareness agencies. If your current strategy involves hoping someone stumbles across your website and magically decides to buy, you are actively burning your most valuable asset, time. The rules of acquisition have shifted under your feet, and what worked 2 years ago is completely dead today. Let's be completely honest with each other. It is 11 p.m. on a Tuesday evening, and you are sitting at your desk, staring at a cash flow spreadsheet or a dry pipeline. You have built a truly remarkable service. You know your product works, you know your team delivers, and you have poured your life's energy into this business. Yet despite all that effort, you are still stuck on the income roller coaster. 1 month is great. The next month is a ghost town. You find yourself trying to write LinkedIn posts that get zero engagement. Or maybe you tried running a few Facebook ads yourself, only to watch your credit card get charged while receiving nothing but spam submissions in return. You feel frustrated, overwhelmed, and completely stuck because you are the best kept secret in your industry, while your loudest, less qualified competitors are walking away with all the market share. You are tired of chasing. You hate the feeling of pitching someone who doesn't respect your value, trying to convince them why they should choose you over a cheap alternative. But what if I told you that the problem isn't your service, your pricing, or your work ethic? The problem is simply how you are positioned in the market. Imagine a completely different reality. Imagine waking up, opening your inbox, and seeing 3 calendar bookings from highly qualified, highly motivated business owners who found your content, analyzed your approach, and explicitly requested to work with you. They don't want to be sold to. They don't need a hard pitch. They have already diagnosed their own problem, and they view you as the only logical solution to help them fix it. That is the power of moving from a chasing mindset to an attraction engine. For years, a small, highly selective group of elite marketers have used a hidden framework to quietly dominate industries without ever making a single cold call or sending a desperate sales pitch. They don't broadcast into the void. Instead, they position themselves strategically precisely where their ideal customers look when they experience a specific structural breakdown in their operations. This isn't about luck or having a massive marketing budget. It is a precise sequence of psychological triggers that transforms a cold viewer into a red-hot prospect who is practically begging to enter your sales ecosystem. You've tried the ads. Maybe you got a few inquiries, but they were tire kickers. The wrong budget, the wrong fit. You've tried social media, you're posting, engaging, showing up, and yet your competitor across town, who you know isn't nearly as good as you, seems to have more work than they can handle. Does that sound familiar? Because I hear this from business owners every single week, and the reason it's happening to you is not what you think. Today, I am going to peel back the curtain and show you exactly how to build this alignment into your business. You will understand how to transition your enterprise from a struggling applicant trying to win a customer's business into a highly sought-after prize that customers actively queue up to buy from. We are going to explore the critical pivot point that allows you to stop hunting and start collecting ideal customers on demand using a foundational asset called an ideal customer magnet. Most traditional marketing consultants will tell you that if your revenue is flat, you just need more traffic, better SEO, or sexier ad copy. That is completely wrong. Those are symptoms, not the root cause. The real cause of a dry pipeline is a fundamental mismatch between when you are speaking and what your ideal customer is experiencing. In my decades of developing advanced strategic assets, I have found that customers do not buy when they have a general desire for improvement. They buy when a specific, unavoidable buying trigger occurs in their life or business. If your content is just screaming generic tips into the wind, you are completely invisible to the high-value buyers who are ready to invest right now. Let's dive deep into how high-performing attraction systems operate. To make this practical, we need to focus heavily on a critical step inside our proprietary 9-day implementation methodology, understanding the decision journey, specifically focusing on identifying and deploying strategic buying triggers. Pay close attention, eliminate all distractions, and pay very close attention to what follows. This single concept will completely reframe your customer acquisition strategy. To successfully pull your ideal customers toward your business without ever chasing them, you must deeply understand the concept of buying triggers. A buying trigger is an external or internal event that disrupts a business owner's status quo and forces them to actively hunt for a definitive solution. Until that trigger occurs, your prospect is living in a state of comfortable complacency. They might know they have small operational inefficiencies, but it isn't painful enough to justify spending money to fix it. Let's illustrate this with a classic corporate example. Think about an entrepreneur running a highly successful distribution company. For months, their manual inventory tracking system has been slightly slow. It is an annoyance, sure, but it isn't an emergency. They ignore it. Then, suddenly, a major, lucrative contract opportunity lands on their desk from a massive retail giant. This contract could easily double their monthly revenue, but it requires them to pass a strict digital compliance audit within exactly 30 days. Suddenly, that minor inventory annoyance transforms instantly into an existential crisis. The status quo is shattered. The looming deadline is a massive buying trigger. This business owner does not need to be convinced or sold to. They are actively on Google, LinkedIn, and YouTube at 2 a.m., desperately searching for a specialist who can help them pass that audit and secure that revenue. There are 3 primary categories of buying triggers that you must integrate into your content strategy immediately to capitalize on this intent. Trigger 1, the failed do-it-yourself attempt. This occurs when an entrepreneur tries to solve a complex corporate problem using internal resources or cheap software tools to save money. They spend weeks trying to configure a custom customer relationship management system or build an internal marketing process from scratch. After wasting dozens of hours experiencing massive team friction and generating 0 tangible results, they hit a wall of absolute frustration. They realize that doing it themselves is costing them significantly more in lost time and operational chaos than paying an elite expert to deliver an immediate, flawless solution. When your content addresses this exact moment of frustration, your ideal customer feels completely seen and understood. Trigger 2, the looming structural deadline. This is a temporal or situational boundary that creates immense urgency. It could be an upcoming regulatory compliance shift, an approaching tax year-end, a scheduled board meeting where they must present growth metrics, or a critical launch date for a brand new product line. The closer this deadline approaches, the more the pain of inaction amplifies. They can no longer afford to delay or analyze alternatives. They need an outcome, and they need it delivered with total speed and absolute simplicity. Trigger 3, the competitor breakthrough. Nothing drives an ambitious business owner to take decisive action faster than watching their direct competitor secure a massive public win. When they see a rival firm launch a highly successful new initiative, close a major customer account they were secretly eyeing, or win a prestigious industry award, it completely shatters their security. It triggers an immediate emotional realization that their current internal methods are causing them to fall behind in the market. They will immediately look for an external asset or a secretive strategy to help them regain their competitive advantage and outsmart the field. By building your entire marketing message around these 3 core triggers, you completely eliminate the need to execute aggressive, hard-selling tactics. Instead of trying to create demand out of thin air or trying to convince people who are completely unaware of their problems, you are positionally waiting at the exact finish line where high-intent, high-budget buyers are already running. How do we apply this without revealing the full technical roadmap of our back-end engineering? We do this by creating specialized top-of-funnel magnets that speak directly to the emotional and practical aftermath of these triggers. When a prospect experiences a trigger, their initial action is to perform highly specific long-tail keyword searches. They don't search for broad industry definitions, they search for immediate operational answers. If your content acts as a mirror that explicitly maps their current problem, states the precise hidden cause of their agony, and clearly outlines the macro milestones required to transition them from their current nightmare into their dream state, you instantly win their complete trust and total authority. To show you exactly how this looks in the real world, let me share a true story of an entrepreneur named Arthur who owns a high-end commercial logistics firm. Arthur is brilliant at what he does. His operations are pristine and his customer retention metrics are near perfect. Yet, for the first 5 years of running his business, Arthur was trapped in a brutal cycle of feast and famine. He relied entirely on traditional outbound methods. He hired a sales team that made hundreds of cold calls a day, and he personally spent hours every week attending awkward networking events, passing out business cards, and chasing leads down. It was exhausting work. Arthur felt like a hamster spinning on a wheel. He was constantly stressed, completely overworked, and felt an overwhelming sense of resentment because he had to continuously pitch his services to low-tier prospects who treated his premium firm like a generic commodity, constantly haggling over prices. Then, the ultimate conflict hit his business. His largest anchor customer, who represented nearly 40% of his entire monthly recurring revenue, was suddenly acquired by an international conglomerate. Over a single 15-minute phone call, that contract was terminated due to global consolidation. Arthur's world was thrown into total chaos. He had massive overhead, a large team to pay at the end of the month, and a giant gaping hole in his revenue stream. The old outbound methods simply weren't fast enough to save him. Cold calling had a 1% conversion rate, and he didn't have months to wait for a casual relationship to develop at a local business breakfast. He was facing the very real, terrifying prospect of having to lay off his core staff and watch his life's work dissolve. He was completely desperate, stuck, and terrified. In his moment of peak panic, Arthur stopped trying to chase general prospects. Instead, he sat down and deployed a highly calculated strategy. He identified a massive buying trigger that was currently hitting mid-sized manufacturing firms in his region. A sudden, drastic shift in regional environmental import regulations that penalized slow supply chains. Instead of pitching his logistics services, Arthur quietly published a hyper-focused strategic masterclass breakdown that detailed the exact operational adjustments a manufacturing firm had to make within 30 days to avoid massive compliance fines. He didn't sell his business, he didn't execute a loud pitch, he simply named the exact root cause of the operational bottleneck and mapped out the high-level macro milestones required to achieve regulatory safety. The result was an immediate, overwhelming comeback. A major operations director at a massive electronics manufacturing plant experienced that precise trigger, found Arthur's strategic breakdown via long-tail search, and recognized Arthur as an elusive, highly specialized genius who held the exact answer to their immediate crisis. The director didn't wait. They bypassed the standard procurement gatekeepers and reached out directly to Arthur via his intake portal, completely unprompted. There was no price haggling, no awkward pitches, and absolutely no chasing required. They closed a premium multi-year retainer contract within 72 hours. That single organic customer attraction asset not only filled the revenue deficit, but laid the permanent foundation for a steady stream of highly profitable ideal customers who now seek Arthur out on demand. Arthur went from the brink of operational collapse to experiencing total freedom, absolute peace of mind, and complete control over his enterprise. What Arthur built, and what you must build inside your own business structure, is a permanent digital asset that acts as an ideal customer magnet. It is designed to effortlessly filter out low-budget, high-maintenance tire kickers while pulling in high-intent decision-makers who have the financial capacity and a strong willingness to pay for premium outcomes. When you align your business around this framework, you stop competing on price entirely. Your business stops behaving like a standard vendor and starts operating as a category of one. You are the only logical partner who explicitly understands the buyer's current pain, mirrors their internal language perfectly, and possesses a proprietary signature method capable of guiding them safely to their ultimate dream outcome. This shifts the entire power dynamic of customer acquisition. In traditional outbound sales, the seller holds all the friction and risk. You are interrupting someone's day, pushing an offer, and trying to overcome resistance. But when you build an attraction system based on real-time buying triggers, the buyer holds the intent. They are the ones searching, consuming your content, and actively validating your expertise. By the time they click the link to initiate contact with your office, nearly 80% of the buying decision has already occurred quietly in their mind. They don't need a high-pressure closer to convince them. They simply need a clean, frictionless gateway to purchase your core solution. Let's recap everything we have covered into one foundational rule that you can carry forward into your operations. Stop talking about what you do and start talking about what your customer is experiencing the moment their status quo breaks down. If you sell IT security, stop posting technical videos about cloud firewall updates. Instead, make content about the exact operational panic a business owner experiences the morning they discover their primary database has been encrypted by ransomware and their engineering team is completely silent. If you run a high-end corporate consultancy, stop talking about generic leadership frameworks. Focus entirely on the exact structural chaos that ensues when an organization loses its top 2 revenue-generating executives to a major competitor in the same week. Focus heavily on the trigger, describe the pain with complete clarity, name the true underlying cause of the failure, and show them that a structured, reliable path to transformation exists. When you master this specific editorial style, your marketing transforms from an annoying expense into an incredibly powerful customer magnet that predictably builds your brand equity and fuels your corporate pipeline day after day, entirely on autopilot. The broad structural methodology of how we isolate these buying triggers and inject them directly into an attraction pathway is exactly what we help entrepreneurs build out inside our ideal customer magnet. If you want to see the detailed step-by-step process of how this magnet is constructed, engineered, and fully operationalized within a business to scale organic lead flows without any manual chasing, click the primary link listed directly below this video right now. Now, if you found this highly focused breakdown valuable, please show some love by hitting that like button and subscribe. It genuinely supports the channel and signals to the YouTube algorithm that sophisticated business builders want clean, actionable strategies devoid of typical marketing fluff. I want to close today with a specific polarizing question for you. Do you believe it is actually possible to build a multi-million-pound enterprise purely through organic inbound attraction? Or do you think a modern business is forced to use aggressive outbound sales tactics to survive? Let me know your raw thoughts, experiences, and arguments directly in the comments section below. Thank you for your time, stay focused, and for more information on how to build your own ideal customer magnet, the exact framework I use to help SME owners and entrepreneurs get their ideal customers on demand, click the link below this video. Now, if you found this video useful, I'd love for you to show some love by subscribing and hitting that like button. It really helps, and it lets us know what content you enjoy. Share this with a business owner you know who's struggling with their marketing. You could genuinely change the direction of their business. And drop a comment below. What's the one thing in your marketing right now that you'd most like to fix? Specific answers only. Let's see what comes up.
Bye.